Hi, so I wanted to do a video on caricature artists because I'm gonna talk a lot about caricatures and I'm gonna be referencing a lot of these artists, and these are the artists that I'm familiar with. And if you guys choose to want to be familiar with these artists, I'd suggest you take a look at their work. So I thought I'd do a quick overview of what the way they draw. So and what the benefits are when it comes to learning how to draw caricatures. So let's go ahead and take a look at Al Hirschfield. So Al Hirschfield, if you've seen Aladdin, the genie's pretty much designed based off of him. So his caricatures, they're very much very loose, very whimsical. Like he'll draw stuff like this, and I'm drawing with the mouse, by the way. I enjoy drawing with the mouse. It allows me to be not so. Have you guys seen like artists draw by the end of the pencil? I see it the same way. This is I'm doing this and using the mouse. So Al Hirschfield would possibly draw like if he were to draw himself, I guess he would be. He does really radical things with like a little swirl in the eye and a little dot, and for a nose he'll do this, and he probably won't do those edges. Maybe something simple. But anyway, he draws like if he were to draw that wrinkle, he'd probably do this. Hold on, let's see here. But everything has like curves and S curves. Everything's very whimsical. I mean, I've seen him do caricatures like a figure eight and then draw glasses. He's so cool. I suggest you Google search Al Hirschfield and take a look at his work. The reason why I like looking at Al Hirschfield, and he'll draw like somebody holding a cigarette, you know, like this, and then for smoke he'll do something clever like this, like a little swirl. Yeah. So he's somebody I definitely admire and look at because whenever I draw caricatures, I always try to think like the simplest way to draw a person. Sometimes we can get caught up in too much detail. Like for an example, if you look at his eye, it's when you understand structure, it's very tempting to just go in there and then start drawing all this structure. Add all the skeletal references and orbital, and you know it can be a joy when you understand structure, but it can also hinder you from actual growth when it comes to caricatures. But it all depends on what you define as caricatures. Everyone has their own definition. For me, my definition of caricature is like a marriage of both, right? Like it's I love the structure. Okay, I love like the skull and stuff. But then also like the simplicity on how you can accomplish this. You don't always have to draw every line, right? So another way of doing it would be possibly something like this. Like you can still draw all this complicated stuff in a more whimsical, easy way, right? And it doesn't always have to be these shapes either. That's the beauty of caricature. With caricature, you can do stuff like you can push this or push this. You can just be pushing stuff all the time. And then that's the cool thing about caricatures. But when there's a time to be loose though, and sketchy. So if I was gonna draw like an Elvis for say, I'll think of Al Hirschfield, where I'll just think of like the simple shapes. I think about those dots that he draws for eyes, sometimes, and maybe for his lip curl. And the thing is, he encourages just just to have fun and be simple with it. You know, you don't have to be like completely accurate with it. Actually, I could probably draw the overweight Elvis from here. All right, so that's Al Hirschfield. The next gentleman is David Levine. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce his name, but the way he draws very portraiture. You know, he'll pick places to really render the heck out of something. So for an example, you see Ronald Reagan's nose right there. So he might have an eye and keep it really simple, just like this, right? But then when he gets to the part where he wants to emphasize something, he gets into this cross-hatching thing, right? And it's almost like he's sculpting it out, you know. I like the way he looks at things, because a lot of the times if you look at his caricature, they don't fit like a mold or a shape, you know. Nor how's Al Hirschfield. Like for an example, Ronald Reagan, I don't see him having that facial feature, you know. I think he's more squarish, but the fact that he can go ahead and make these shapes and emphasize his hair, you know, and his nose, it's kind of neat. And the truth is that you know, he was alive when I believe he's still alive. I'm not quite certain, but you know, he watched Ronald Reagan go to the presidency, you know, so he probably, you know, knows him on another level that I do, you know. Seen him on TV. I mean, I just see him in photographs. He experienced Ronald Reagan, so you know, it's interesting to see his take on it. But yeah, everything he does is, he doesn't even finish it either. Like he'll pick points to illustrate. Like for an example, like the collar he completely left blank, which I love. I like that he does that. You don't always have to render everything, you know. There's this thing where I think a lot of people focus on like a beautiful rendered nose, like something like really whimsical, real nice and defined, and they'll control Z for the rest of their life or erase a line. But when you see, you know, David Levine, he doesn't do that. He'll do stuff like this, and then he'll work with it, you know. And you see it there in the collar too. Like there's a lot of shaky lines. So when he drew that collar, look, mine's real straight, but if you see his is very shaky like that, you know. And that's cool. And he doesn't need to render that. He's rendering what needs to be rendered, and that's kind of neat, you know. So what do I get from? Let me summarize what I got from everybody. And sorry if I'm talking fast. It's just I guess I talk and think fast, and I'm also excited talking about these artists that I enjoy very much. So with Al Hirschfield, it's all about getting that basic shape, whatever that shape might be, you know. And if that person has a collar, then cool. And let's say he has a big nose, right? David Levine will pick a part, right, or some part of emphasis that makes this character interesting. He won't clean up these lines, right? So he'll go in there and render the heck out of one, right? And he'll like render the planes. And he'll make it like really like stick out, and then he'll draw little shadows or whatever the hell. Okay, but he'll keep this very loose, simple, and he won't even render it because there's no point. There's no need to render because his coat and how how it's rendered has nothing to do with the final product that is this, you know. So what's the point of putting all this focus when in the end, you know, it's the nose, the eyebrows, and the things that, we need to pay attention to. So I really like that. So I adapted that into my own work. Um, I mean, you can see it here. I did some work here where you see how my lines are very loose and shaky. See, it's all right. It's not a big deal. Like if I didn't get his fingernails, so what? You know, that's not gonna make or break the drawing. You know, what's gonna make or break the drawing is the drawing, the face that I'm drawing. You know, these are the things that matter. You know, but what I like about this guy is that it ain't about the line quality at all. It's about the product. So that's cool. Well, Al Hirschfield, it is about the line. It's all about the line and its simplicity. Okay, so the next artist that I want to talk about is let's go with Ralph Steadman. So Ralph Steadman, he is very it's almost like if Picasso, no, I wouldn't say Picasso, but maybe Jackson Pollock. If Jackson Pollock, he has a little Jackson Pollock-ish to it. His stuff is very aggressive. Please take a look at his stuff. It's very pushed. Everything's like super crazy. And, you know, I don't think I'll be able to do such a good job with my mouse, but if you watch him draw, like that's his Ronald Reagan, okay? You see the way he draws. It has a lot of feeling in it, you know, you just really feel all of it, how he feels about it. I mean, talk about like really chiseling it in there, you know? I mean, he feels it out, you know, and I love that. I love that there's so much feeling in it. So much feeling that, you know, it just, you know, it's so overwhelming. And as I'm doing this drawing as a demo, this is, you know, my sketch to it, but, you know, as I'm doing it, it's very like, wow, you know? You can really feel how intense this drawing is. You know, when you get Al Hirschfield has like a very, you know, flowery feel to things. You know, things are just there. Take it easy, it's not a problem. And David Levine has a very like Roman sculpture statue thing where it's like, you know, it's just sitting there. But Ralph Steadman has a very I'm feeling and you know, and that's how I can best describe Ralph Steadman, and this is why I enjoy his work. So to a degree, I guess you got the simplicity, whimsical, fine line. You got the structure, simplicity. You don't have to render everything; just render the things you care about. And then the feeling part, you know, and you know, it's funny that I'm doing this now because it makes me reflect how I never really thought about it, but you know, there's tons of caricature artists, but these are the caricature artists that I surround myself with, you know, and I think these three are the most impactful ones. I mean, if I really had to boil this down, like these three are it for me when it comes to the foundation of my caricatures. Let's outline that. Let's separate them from everybody else. Yeah, they're the foundation of what it is I do. Okay, everybody else here, I put them in there. I'm not really thinking why. I do know I want to make a video on this. So I'll go. I won't be able to make it through everybody. You'll have to see video number 2. Let me know if you like it and if you guys find this helpful. But Bill Plimpton, very inspirational guy. I mean, Bill, he knew his structure well. I feel like he was a little bit of David Levine in him, and a little bit of Hirschfield. If you look at any of his work, it's just so like he doesn't repeat himself, you know. Well, I don't think these guys do too, to a degree, but he has done some like portraiture caricatures, you know, like when you look at his Ronald Reagan right there. Like as I'm drawing, and I like to like draw from the drawings that I like because it actually at times I don't have the words to describe why I like it, and then sometimes I'll just draw from it, and then either the words come out or the feeling comes out that makes me realize why I appreciate it, you know. But you know, even as I'm doing this, you can really feel he understood like the fat that's on the cheek there, you know. He took in consideration all these little wrinkles, really felt things out, and he wanted to make a point. Again, as I'm drawing this, I'm finding it out. You know how important it is to draw the wrinkles here. And then you got his little complicated hair there. He used to be a Hollywood actor, so you know, you see like how weird his hair is. It's pretty funny. I saw this really cool caricature done many years ago by a good friend of mine. His name is Paul Lindsley, and he did a Ronald Reagan. And his Ronald Reagan had a nose like something like this, and he had a bunch of wrinkles just covering his face. And somehow you knew. And he had his hair sticking out like that. And somehow you knew that was Ronald Reagan. It was the coolest caricature. One of the many coolest caricatures I've seen. But the fact that his face was just covered with wrinkles, I mean, that's a great Ronald Reagan, you know. So, yeah, Bill Clinton, super good. Please look him up and take a look at some of his work. He's super good. All right. I'm trying to get a feeler out how many people like me talking about the artists that I like. You know, if you guys enjoy these videos, please leave a comment. I would love to cover Sebastian Kruger, Peter Grondel, and Cleet Shields. These guys work together. And Cleet, you can see his stuff on Instagram. You can also see the same with Peter, and they actually work together. And Cleet did a lot of sculptures for Hollywood, and his stuff is amazing. His sense of caricature and design is just beautiful. And Peter, you know, he has a really natural sense of design. He knows how to orchestrate lines and shapes, and like if it's symphony, it's really neat to see. The cool thing is he's a good friend of mine, and he doesn't know why he does it. That's another discussion. And then you get Sebastian Kruger, and this guy I think has everything. He has anatomy down. He has anatomy down. In fact, if you see him online right now, and you take a look at any of his drawings, even his live paintings, he'll start his drawing like with a big circle, I think, and a happy face. Then he'll draw like the skull underneath it, and then he'll draw whoever he's painting right on top of it. It's really neat to see that his foundation is literally a happy face, a skull, and then the drawing. Really interesting. And he has anatomy down. He has simplicity down. He has acting down. I mean, he's really good. He has all the range. He can do portraiture caricature. He can do push caricature. There's nothing this man cannot do. He is the King Kong of caricatures. You know, the way I look at caricatures at the moment, you know, everyone has their own thing. So when I say King Kong, I mean that when I see his work, you know, he really expresses himself, and he has a lot of variety of the way he does it, and that's nice. Peter, I would say, Peter, not that he can't draw portraits, I'm sure he can, but you know, does he do it? No, he doesn't. He does paintings, actually. He does real portraits of paintings, and Peter can also push it. He can push it very simple, and he can push it very complicated. It's really neat to see. Cleet can do the same thing. So, yeah. So these guys are great. They're great, and I admire them, and I love looking at their work for fun and because I enjoy it, and they're super awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoy these videos. Again, I'll be covering the next ones later. Thank you.